Retina actually has 10 layers, and diabetes can affect any layer within the retina. So OCT enables us to visualize the retina in very high detail to the order of 5 microns. So we can exactly pinpoint the location and the nature of the swelling within the retina. Now this is a diseased retina affected by diabetic retinopathy, but before that I would like to show you a normal OCT. We are supposed to have one. Anyway, what the normal retina shows, this is a very there's normally a foveal depression in the retina, which is if the fovea is present in the center here, the normal retina appears like this, and there's a foveal dip. In this patient, we see that there's a large cystic cavity in the retina here, and there are other cystic cavities here, and all this is diffuse retinal edema. So, and this is a 3D extrapolation, and we can see that instead of a foveal pit being present here, there's a kind of hillish structure here, and the reddish, this is graded. So normally this area should be green, appearing green, but here we see that the thickness increased so much that the color coding is red here and white here, and we can see that the thickness is 400 in the reddish regions and 500 to the tune of 500 in the whitish regions. And similarly in the surface map, we can make out that there is a foveal depression here.
See, OCT, in continuity, you can show the angiographies are now down to about 10 to 12 a month.
And this then travels to the eye, and we can pinpoint the abnormal retinal vessels through their leakage and areas whether there's any absence of blood supply to the retina. And these areas are then targeted directly by laser therapy in the treatment of diabetic retinopathy. Here we see a patient who has got macular edema. Now these are the normal. Initially we don't see anything appearing, but there's leakage in the later phases. We can see that there's increased there's hyperintensity. So we can make out there's a petaloid, a flower petal appearance of leakage, which is characteristic of a macular edema, foveal edema. Now this is another patient with more advanced stages of diabetic retinopathy, and this is actually a stage of proliferative diabetic retinopathy, which is a very advanced stage, end stage diabetic retinopathy. Here we see that there is leakage of dye from the disc, which is known as neovascularization of the disc, and there are also leakage near the blood vessels elsewhere. And we can also make out some laser scars in the periphery of the macula as well as in the periphery. This is a color photograph of the same patient, and we can make out that there is leakage of lipid material from the blood vessels. Vessels become very leaky. So chronic deposition of lipid appears as hard exudates in the retina. And these are the laser spots which we could see earlier on. This is a normal angiogram, and here we don't see, there is a small area of capillary non-perfusion. There is a zone of foveal avascular zone, which is it's called, and otherwise the vessels are smooth and they are ending and they are supplying the entire retina. They don't abruptly end as we could see in the diabetic patient. So this is a normal angiogram. Initially we see that the arterioles are filling initially, and later on the veins also fill up with the dye.
And in the same breath as Dr. Lalit was saying, you can imagine that the most sensitive area of the retina, which is macula, has got indirect nutrition coming from the choriocapillaris. It does not have any direct supply of capillaries to it.
Exactly.
And in the ischemic cases, which are very recalcitrant to any treatment, you'll find that the foveal avascular zone, it becomes larger, and that is the time when you should not be doing laser, and then many people will push and make it even larger than that.
So this is normally, if we magnify the area, we can note that there is a 500 micron area in the center of the fovea.
Invite you also. We are running a teleophthalmology program for the state of Mizoram, and we've got fundus cameras which are being operated by people who are trained as technical assistants only. They are not. Some of them are ophthalmic assistants, but then rest of them are only teleophthalmology assistants who are class 12 pass only. They have just cleared this school, and some of them have cleared their training as pharmacists in a diploma. So we have taught them how to take pictures of retina. So these pictures, they can be transmitted. Now we were looking at the possibility of putting such cameras in clinics where people who are interested in treating diabetes in totality, they can send those pictures to us, where people like Lalit and I, we can have a look and have a continuous program. Like if we decide, okay, you send this patient to us for treatment, and then when the patient goes back in follow-up, you can take pictures. Which means your kidneys, your heart, apart from large blood vessels where where the diabetic foot and other things, all these microangiopathies, the future lies there is, and research is going on already on these. Now we are talking of two molecules here. One is Lucentis, which is a trademark, and Avastin, which also is a trademark. Now there was a significant cost difference between the two medicines, and then in US a project was designed to study the efficacy of the two. Now Lucentis or ranibizumab is definitely a better molecule. It has got better results, but the conclusion was that when it comes to cost benefit analysis, that Lucentis should not be more than 2.5 times expensive than Avastin. If the cost is less than 2.5 times, then it makes more sense. The study did not say that the clinical results were inferior or equivalent. It says for the benefit received, it should not be more expensive, because they calculated in terms of DALYs, disability adjusted life years, which is all counted in dollars. So with the passage of time, the cost of drug has come down, and there was another study which was carried out whether they produce same clinical efficacy or not. So it is clearly now understood that ranibizumab is definitely a better molecule. You can use it in combination with laser therapy. Laser therapy can be deferred, and a deferred therapy gives you a better long-term stability of vision. Now, I will not go into the details of DRCR next studies, but people like us who are interested in treating patients, we continuously get updates. We get newer and newer algorithms. So, why your presence is more relevant today is that most of the algorithms are going changes, and many doctors are not aware. But what precipitated this talk was, I can share 3 incidents with you. One was a very close friend of mine who came with diabetic macular edema. I told him in one eye, and I told him that he will require administration of intravitreal ranibizumab. He said okay. He went back to his physician, who told him that I don't know much about it, but why have an injection inside the eye and things like that. So as an opinion builder, he made sure that okay, you pata nahi yaar lagwana hai ki nahi lagwana. Now the patient underwent multiple sittings of lasers, and his vision is quite poor, whereas we could have helped him. He was 6/6 in one eye, and he was 6/36 when he came back, and he has not come back for a follow-up again. But I came to know that he had undergone laser. So had he taken that shot, his macular edema would have been much less. Maybe he would not have required a laser at all. The second incident was with my own my cousin's husband, who got admitted into the hospital for some cardiac problem, became very sick, and when he came out, and it is very well known that when you're confined to the bed and you're undergoing treatment, your oxidative stress is there, your retinopathy can progress much faster. So he came with bilateral DME and diabetic macular edema, and he was looking for a reimbursement somewhere, so I sent him to a hospital where he was getting, and he has already undergone 5 sittings of laser. and vision is 6 by 36 only. Now these are two personal examples which sort of made me upset that maybe we are not able to convey the right message in the right way to a larger community of physicians, because any patient who is coming to an ophthalmologist is also going to a diabetologist, and it is at that time that this much of knowledge should help you in guiding the patient in the right way. So the other example which I can share is that there are times when you require multiple injections. Now in US, when the study ended, the discussion was going on that how many injections are required to reduce the diabetic macular edema, and it was said that sometimes a response may come after 4th or 5th injection, sometimes maybe after first only. So you give one injection and then the patient says only it has not worked, he will not come for the second injection. If the second has not worked, he says, oh no, it will not work. But all that research which has been going on in US, and through DRCNet we are getting the results of that, we should be able to convince the patients. And we have lost many patients who felt that the drug was not acting. But my only thing was that in India we are not carrying out a longitudinal research on these patients, and whatever data is coming from the West is randomized, is being controlled by proper authorities, and there is meticulous documentation. So if those recommendations have to be followed, they must be followed. So my concluding remarks are just that we are at a very exciting stage where many molecules are being discovered, and they can be used for benefit of the patients. As far as cost is concerned, we have been in touch with the companies, and one of the representatives is here also. When we purchase them in bulk, there is a significant amount of discount which we are getting, which we are transferring to the patients. But only thing is that the therapy is still a little expensive. But when you are negotiating your insurance policies and other things, I think it is very important for you to find out whether anti-VEGF therapy is being included in the treatment in the policy or not, because many of the policies which you buy, healthcare policies, and if you have a family history of diabetes, you ensure that anti-VEGF cover is there. So these are two very important messages. One is that this is going to be the future. Second is that this, along with deferred laser therapy or concurrent laser therapy, is going to remain a part of the treatment. Concurrent use of steroids intravitreally in some of the cases is indicated, but the primary molecule is going to be anti-VEGF only, and day is not too far when we will get oral anti-VEGF treatment as well. If you have to add, so you asked a very sensitive question. See, when we started, one injection was 72,800 rupees. Then it came down. Now we can give an injection with total cost as 35,000 rupees. Lucentis. Avastin we can give cheaper, but only thing is that Avastin, in spite of the studies going on in US, where this